Welcome everyone. Today, my name is Jessie Tobal and we're going to be discussing Acts 28 in form of a quiz and discussion. So Acts 28 is the last chapter of the book of Acts. And thank you for accompanying me through this journey to learn everything about this Acts 28, which is kind of a second part to Luke. Luke wrote it. He wrote Luke. And then after Jesus was crucified, we went on to learn about the book of Acts. So I just want to say that it is a very easy chapter. It reads like a story, so it's easy to remember. And so if you ask for the multiple choice, you're probably going to lose because a lot of people are going to get the answer right off the bat. We have a lot of people today, so we might only be able to go once around, so we might have a big tie. But we'll go ahead and try it out and see how it goes. All right? Okay, so we see here that we have, this is going to take place in the little island of Malta, and this is where it is geographically on the map. It's south of Sicily, so a very beautiful area. Currently, there's about 500,000 people live there, so it's very small. Actually, it's the world's 10th smallest country by area and 4th most densely populated. It has a capital of Valletta, is part of the European Union, and the official religion is Catholicism, but in their constitution, there is freedom of religion.
Is Malta currently?
Malta what? That's Malta today, yes. Okay, so Brandon, you have the first question. The beginning of the chapter, remember they got shipwrecked here, and it was still winter time. What did the natives do to help them out? You want the options? Yes, Abel.
Just to let you know, I only see the first slide in your presentation, just to let you know.
You don't see Malta arrival?
No,
No,
we can see everything.
No, I mean, you sort of see it on the side, but I mean, maybe you got to put it on slideshow because I only see the main portion. The main one that I see is the Acts 28 opening slide.
What do you see now?
Now we see it.
Okay. Spot for Brandon. What? No, I already have you on the paper this way. Next time I'm gonna jump around. Okay. The natives were starving. Were they afraid? Were they friendly, or were they Christians? Brandon says they are friendly. Very good. That is correct. All right, the next person I have Joel. What did the natives do to keep warm?
They started a fire.
They started a fire. Good answer. That is D. They did not use volcanic ash wraps. Who's next? Jonathan. Paul was a doer and did not idly stand by. How did he help? How did he help?
Don't take a risk, man.
When they were making the fire, how did he help?
Choices are guaranteed loss.
Yo lo digo.
Don't worry about it.
Still jumping in.
No, espérese, papi, espérese, que ya le va a preguntar a usted. I'm sorry, he was just trying to answer.
Yo me sé.
Todavía no le toca, Miguel. Le va a tocar ahorita.
I won't choose multiple choice.
He will not. Well, guess the answer then.
No. He was praying for them.
He was praying for them. Oh, go ahead. The branches. Good job. He added brushwood to the fire. He did not provide campfire stories. Eddie? What attack Paul? Easiest one of all. Easiest answer of all. Everybody quiet. Uh-oh, somebody didn't read. I see.
Iti, I think your sound is coming in and out. Please, let's have one at a time.
No.
Una culebra.
Titi,
You guys are very hard to hear.
Yeah, your sound is coming in and out, Titi.
I think one person has to talk at a time. Okay.
Yes.
Microphone.
A serpent. Okay. Nina, what did the Maltese first assume Paul was when the snake struck? What did they think he was when
That I know. That he's coming from the devil, something like that.
Be more specific. They knew it was a poison snake.
Okay.
No.
Which one? No. Rene,
Sí.
a murderer is correct.
Say that.
It's Ralph's turn now.
Hard one.
What did Paul do to the snake?
Oh, he shake it off. Throw it in the fire.
Beautiful. He did not panic because he knew God told him that he was going to make it to Rome. Miguel,
Dime.
¿qué pensaron la gente de la isla cuando Pablo no se murió?
Ellos dijeron que este hombre era extraño, que era Dios. Que no se murió.
Very good that he is a God. Candace, you ready? Candace, oh wait, first we have an interruption here. How fickle people are, right? 1 minute you're a murderer, all of a sudden you're a God. Doesn't this happen in your life sometimes? Especially happens to athletes. One day they're the GOAT, and the next day they're the doom of this. They want to get traded and they're no good, right? Sometimes it happens to people when they first get married. They're so much in love and they're divorced. That person's the devil. Did that person change that much, or what's going on here? So we have to remember that we have to seek the approval of God and not of man. Okay, what was the name of the chief of the Maltese, Candace?
Publius? I don't know how you say it.
Good, not Puberty. Publius. Publius.
Publius.
Very.
Abel, ready, Abel?
No, I'm not, but go ahead.
Who had fever and dysentery?
Who had fever and dysentery? Oh, man.
I know. I know that.
Multiple choice, please. Multiple choice, please.
And
Wife.
And Diana?
D, his father.
Yeah. But Abel ruined it for you. Okay, George, you ready, George? Is George still here?
I'm here.
Okay, George. How did the natives show appreciation?
Is this multiple choice?
You can. You ready for multiple choice?
Yes. I don't remember this. It's going to be C.
Very good. Okay, so everybody went once, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna go back to the people that had 2 points.
So it's a three-way tie, probably, right? Or
Three,
four-way,
four.
I don't know.
Anna, how long was Paul in Malta?
Is it 100?
I know.
I got it.
It was 3 months. 3 months is correct. All right, Rafael.
Oh, God.
What were Castor and Pollux? Multiple. All right. How about now? Yes. And it is not D. Miguel, ¿qué era Castor y Pollux? ¿Qué era Castor y Pollux?
Alejandría.
No. Kenneth, what were Castor and Pollux? It's not A and it's not D.
I'm gonna go with B.
Yeah. It is the twin Egyptian god. That was a rough one here.
He said he got it too
Oh,
fast.
yeah, Joel. One more, Joel. Sorry, that had to look at that one because anyway, it was only one choice. So, okay, you go, Joel. I'm sorry, he did it. It was a 5-way tie. Okay, Joel. What were the form of Atheist and the three taverns? You do multiple choice, you're in deep trouble. You're gonna have to do multiple choice. Then
That-
what
That's
is it?
it.
Go ahead.
What is it? C is correct. The city the believers traveled from was not a popular bar and grill. Okay, so how did he feel among the other believers when he arrived in Rome? He felt comfortable, he felt whole, he felt safe. Do you guys agree with that statement? Sometimes you go somewhere and you find out somebody's a Christian, all of a sudden you want to latch on. You feel like I'm safe here. Do you ever have that feeling? Especially maybe a place where you wouldn't find someone that way. Is that not true? Brandon? What did you say? Okay. So here's a little map of what happened from the beginning where he left Caesarea. Remember, he was in jail there. He demanded to go to Rome for trial. So we pick up where he's at Malta over here on the left side. And then now he went over to, you glad I didn't put the cities right in the test, Syracuse, Reggio, Puteoli, and all that things all the way to Rome. How did Paul's, for discussion now, because we already have our winner, how was Paul's imprisonment different from your typical prisoner? Brandon?
We basically have to save the guards along with the rest of the prisoners behind.
No, when he was in Rome, sorry, prisoner in Rome. How come his imprisonment was different? Anyone out there? Joel?
He was in a rented house.
Very good. It was a rented house with a guard, correct.
That was because it was
Who did Paul call together 3 days later?
it was you.
The Jewish leaders, everyone here is saying, very good. The leaders had not heard about the charges, but wanted to know about the sect. In your life, people may like you until you speak about Jesus. So when the leaders came over and he started telling them about things, they really didn't have anything against them, but they were suspicious about who are these Christians and they wanted to learn more. So sometimes you might also experience that in your life, that you get along with your neighbor just fine, and all of a sudden you find out you start talking about Jesus right away. They might stiffen up. They might have, they might not believe in God, and then they don't want to hear about it. They might have had a bad experience in a church one day, or maybe a lot of times people, when they talk about, they feel like you're judging them, or whatever reason they feel like they need to reject that part of your life. Do not feel bad about it. That is expected. What was the reaction to Paul's preaching? Half of them believed. Very good. Hannah says half of them believed and half of them, well, some believed and some did not. Very good. Again, very much like we see today, right? Not everybody, like Eddie does his famous set of preachings about the trail and the seeds, right? We all remember that 12-part series. What prophet is Paul? Isaiah, and Hannah's so sad. But you won the prize already, so you wanted to keep answering. Isaiah is correct. Why was the word sent to the Gentiles? But why? To save them, but more specifically, all of the above, because their hearts are callous, they're closed, the Jews, and they didn't want to hardly hear. Was the shipwreck actually a tragedy? Sometimes, as we saw today's preaching, God uses a disaster to bring the word of the God, in this case to the Maltese. Finding meaning in tragedy helps heal and accept the circumstances. And like the song Abel Clay said, we had a lot of why, we want to know. And if we can discover it sometimes takes many years, you're gonna feel a little more comfort about it. So use your time wisely. He was in Rome for 2 years in the prison. He wrote these letters while he was there. So even though your circumstances might be tough, use your time wisely. This was around the year 60 to 62. He wrote Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, and Philemon while he was in the jail. Whatever happened to Paul, unfortunately, as many of the apostles, we know it did not end well in his earthly being. His last book was 2nd of Timothy, which Hannah is teaching. It is believed that after 2 years, none of the accusers came to Rome. Therefore, he was eventually released in his first trial before Nero. If you ever learn about Nero, he was maybe the worst of the evilest of the Caesars. Rome was burnt down in 64 AD, and being a Christian became illegal because Nero blamed the Christians for the fire. So then he was put on trial again because he would never stop preaching the word. And eventually, they believe he was decapitated when he was found guilty. As a Roman citizen, they could not crucify him. That was against the law. Nonetheless, he was still murdered. So the takeaways, I'm not going to go through all these little things, but we got to trust in God in the midst of trials, right? So we saw that Paul continues to trust God even through the shipwreck, even through the jail terms, even through the hardship, and trust in God's sovereignty, that he is in charge. We have to remember that. And being bold in sharing the gospel. Despite all the threats and being illegal and all of these things, Paul continued to preach and to remind others about our life to come. So the takeaway is to use your time and resources for God's kingdom. No matter what situation you are, you can still spread the word, you can still do good things, you can still journal, you can still teach, you can still learn. So the conclusion, as we face trials and difficulties in our life, let us remember the example of Paul, Acts 28. Let us trust in God's sovereignty, be bold in sharing the gospel, and use our time and resources for God's kingdom. Ultimately, let us remember that God is with us in every trial, and that he can even use our difficulties for his glory. Thank you very much. I'm glad this chapter matches with today's preaching, actually, if you notice. So thank you, everyone. Hannah, where would you like your prize to go to?
To the family house burnt down to 9 kids.
The family, very good. We will do that.